Very well, and building up on that conversation on empowering women and especially young girls who are in school with matters education to another empowerment of the African young man and women. Let's get to an interactive segment here when we'll be looking at nurturing young African leaders for leadership and development. And to be very honest, when it comes to leadership, and especially in the country, mentorship has greatly been on the lower side. But let's now delve into that conversation. Allow me to rope in my guest this afternoon. Her name is Kehinde Ayeni. Ayeni is the Executive Director, LEAP Africa, which is a non-governmental organization nurturing African leaders and also advancing sustainable development across the continent. Now, karibu to the program.
Asante.
What exactly are you doing at LEAP Africa to help nurture these talents and help them leap to be very, very good leaders in the future?
Thank you very much. Our organization focuses on youth leadership development, and that primarily means that we implement projects across Africa. Beyond designing and implementing the project that we create or develop, we also host and manage on behalf of development partners as well. And within the boundaries of our work really is in the human capacity development, community transformation, livelihoods, nation building process. What we do in terms of breaking down our mission really is to provide the skills and tools and resources that will unlock the agencies between young people. We believe in the power, the ability, the agility, creativity, innovativeness of young people. And if you combine them with the right platforms, and then you can unlock a big Africa, a continent that is led by young people who are dynamic in nature. And for us to be able to unlock the agency within young people, it requires training. And of course, I know you touched on mentorship as you opened up, but that is a phase of how we deploy our leadership, life skills programming across our interventions that start from education all the way to citizenship, and obviously incorporates mental health and well-being as you think about the agility, the resilience of a young leader.
And how did you identify this gap, and which gaps are you trying to fill? What has been the progress so far?
Right. The organization itself is almost 24 years old, so we have almost 25 years experience under our belt nurturing and working with young people. And it started with the premise that if we really truly want to liberate the continent, if we really want to see a continent that will develop and emerge successfully, then we need to look at young people. One, because we have the population. Two, because they are ripe, ready, and anxious and willing participants as well. Three, if we do not do something about it, then they can be an explosion, an implosion on the continent or your country or your county, wherever you have young people aggregating without meaningful engagement. And so what we've done is to have a bottom and top-down approach. The top-down approach is liaison with government. So most of our programs and partnerships involve governments of countries and cities in which our work is domiciled. And beyond the fact that we are working with government to implement or secure that endorsement for, we are also providing advisory into the work that they do. So you will find us in technical working groups, supporting in plans and strategies that advance youth development and such. And then we think about appropriate policies. What are the policies that we can really support or push for or really direct other stakeholders to look within? Those are some of the things we do when you look at the top-down approach. But when we bottom up, it requires that we are working directly with young people. So our trainings target young people directly. We also work through youth actors, youth decision makers, policy makers, institutions, and agencies. So you think about teachers, school administration, you think about job employers, corporate sector, development sector, and all the likes of people who are really involved in decision making when it comes to how young people are engaged, how young people are prepared to manage their own life and unlock their own transformation.
Africa is by far the youngest continent, and we have seen youths trying out, of course, the developing world or the global north, when it comes to technology, they are a little bit more advanced, but we have the youngest continent in the world.
Yes.
How are we incorporating this partnership to ensure that our young men and women, they know exactly what they're going to do even before. Now, at least in Kenya, we have the competency-based curriculum. That is not what we had over the years. How are we integrating them and ensuring that they also benefit from this kind of high-level training that you offer, guys?
It's great that you speak about competency training, human-centered learning approach, and you would also find that there are more things around the future of work. Because ideally, every time you think about a young person, they must be meaningfully engaged. And so their socio-economic transitions on enabling that process is very, very important. And so when we find out that young people require a level and means of engagement, technology is not a barrier. First, because young people themselves have arrived at that decision to participate. Some of the amazing innovation have come from Africa, from the continent, and even from Africans living in diaspora. So there is no game saying that we are far behind, in the sense that we do not know what it is in terms of what technology and what it can do, or how it can improve the processes or lives and livelihoods of people. What we have found is the gap. How much more access do young people need? How affordable is it really? And how can they compare to their peers in other parts of the world? And so the level of education must start from early on. I know there's many organizations and partners working from the primary level, but our work and intervention start from the secondary, and that's because of the context in which we work, the delicacy of the leadership concept that we break down into normal day life that we project forward, because our work targets low-income communities and those people who are really disadvantaged or marginalized. And so therefore, to increase competitiveness, we have to make sure that this program is available, and we provide them for free because of the collaborations and partnership from across the spectrum of private to public sector, international nonprofits that support the work that we do, well aligned with our mission and objectives, again, to arrive at unlocking the power within the young people and ensuring that they are ready to drive their own agency and enable their succession and transitions.
Yeah, and as Leap Africa, you've been in the industry for more than 24 years. What are some of the barriers that you have realized that young men and women in Africa are struggling with, especially when it comes to becoming great leaders that we have? We know we did mention that mentorship is one of them.
Yes, indeed. We assume the young people don't know what they want. And it's also right in another way, in another dimension, because they assume they know what they want, and that is determined by their level of exposure. So many of the other things that we've found, the challenges or barriers for young people, always comes down to how can I execute this my fine idea. So resources is another. Another is a platform. How many platforms cater to young people, give opportunity to young people to participate, to run, to engage, to ask questions, to be involved, to make a comment without being shut down? You know, what are those? Those are the little things. And it starts from the classrooms, and it rides all the way up to when they are in their maturity years, and you find that these are huge stumbling blocks that they now begin to unbundle as they mature. So in essence, youth leadership is really saying that, yes, we need to first of all identify who a young person is, and the way we've structured our curriculum allows us to begin from the place of self, before we now achieve community transformation or even involve them in nation building processes. And so the education is powerful. There's no doubt about that, whether it's the conventional education or the soft and leadership skills, which is already incorporated. If you went to a school that is an elitist school, obviously this is part of your curriculum. And so this is the add-on value that we are providing and asking more organization and those who already have similar support to, you know, ensure that we are working towards the same goal. In terms of the impact, right now, the work that we do have allowed us to work with reach almost 40+ countries across Africa, that is, through different interventions, starting from secondary school education to improve learning outcomes, and our dual mechanism for improving youth employment, which is employability, and entrepreneurship, which is, you know, putting the youth at the center, and citizenship and such. And so when we think about all this mechanism put together, it allows us to arrive at almost 100,000 young people that have been impacted directly, but our indirect impressions, because of the model that we've used in the past and continue to use, our indirect beneficiaries are numbering 13 million Africans to date, and we are working towards 30 million by 2030. This is very audacious for us. And as we think about expansion and reach, we are thinking about what is the mechanism by which we're going to do that. And that's why we are using local actors to reach. We are using those who have regional presence and power and influence to reach more people. And the model also allows us to impact an organization that has grassroots influence or grassroots community network. So an organization can serve 1,000 other non-profits, for example, or a social entrepreneur's social good can actually reach 1 million families in 5 years. So that is the model with which we've been working and the impact so far.
It's a good thing you've answered the part of my next question in regards to the success stories.
Great.
And the question is, I want to localize this this conversation. How does Kenyan youth who are watching right now benefit? How do they reach you? Maybe they expect maybe something to be paid or something. Just paint the picture for us on how our youth in Kenya can benefit and a success story of how they're benefited.
So it's interesting that Kenya and East Africa region is already in high demand for our leadership, life skills program, intervention initiative, and so on and so forth that we already carry out. Even though we are based in West Africa, our work has reached so far because of the methodology we've used. Our programs are normally free. Some of them are part payment, and some of them are just a token, just to indicate interest and your commitment into the program. And so if you are finding us and wondering how can you participate in any of our 10 portfolio programs that we are running and initiatives and webinars, masterclasses, it's very, very easy, very affordable, because we also believe that young people must commit to their own self-development for those who have the means, because when you pay a token, you allow somebody participate for free. And so with all the model that we've put together, it's very encompassing and allows young people to make a decision to participate willfully. However, we are really big on diversity and inclusion. And so we make every means to include those who are disenfranchised, marginalized, those that you would say probably are living on the sidelines as much as is possible. And our content is also very contextualized and localized. So when you say how are Kenyan citizens right now benefiting, we have our learning management system, which allows us to onboard a minimum of 5,000 per program for the programs we have active right now. And so they can join virtually. These are low-cost, low-mechanism system that allow them to participate and take self-paced courses, and then they can come into our cohort-based programs and so on and so forth. So those are the ways in which Kenyan youth can participate. More so, we provide grants to project leads who are interested in community development, and so there's opportunity for that. All
right, thank you so much. Unfortunately, we have run out of time. I have been speaking to Kehinde Ayeni, who is Executive Director at Leap Africa, that is looking into the youth and, of course, the leadership in the continent. Then we're taking a quick break, but we'll be right back.